Goalkeepers, nervous strikers, they'll deliver. Crowd roars erupted, you can feel the quake. 80 we never move, brother, move in your loop.
Hello there, Nigerian football fans and football fans everywhere. You're welcome to the channel. Today we'll be talking about, Nigerian Super Eagles and other topics that sort of made the rounds in, the couple of days. And yes, the World Cup qualifiers, at least this cycle of the World Cup qualifying series is over. The players have gone back to their clubs. And so what are we talking about today? So for me, what I want us to discuss is how Nigeria can build a real scary team. Now, having the individual players, for sure, there's no doubt. Talented players all over the world, both in the Nigerian domestic football scene, in Europe, and even have some players like Shola Ogundona in the South American League. So you have the likes of Victor Boniface, Victor Osimhen, Ademola Lookman, African Footballer of the Year, doing wonders at Atalanta. So you have these players. So the individual talent isn't really the problem. And then also on this stream today, in this video, we'll also be talking about the under-20 team of Nigeria, the under-20 national team, the Flying Eagles, a couple of players that they invited to the national team. I'll give my opinion on that for the under-20 AFCON. I'll give my opinion on that as well. I know I did a video earlier on today talking about those players, but I want to also have a discussion about those players on here as well. Now, for me, back to what I've said, the Nigerian talent pool is deep. The Nigerian talent pool is wide. You have lots of players, talented players. But the problem Nigeria has had over the years is team building, squad building. Because sometimes the Nigerian Football Federation, most times the Nigerian Football Federation considers things, that don't concern or, that are not hinged on winning. Like, oh, do I know this person? Is he my friend? Or has he played for the country too long? Forgetting about what the person is actually doing at that moment, what the player is actually doing in that moment. So those considerations get in the way. So for me now, what I want to do is I want to suggest some players that can actually be included in the right positions in this team to turn the team's sort of fortunes around. Because right now, after this round of World Cup qualifiers, or the round of World Cup qualifiers that just passed right now, the team has to be perfect. There's no room for excuses. There's no room for any draw. If there wasn't a room for draw in this past World Cup qualifying series, right now there is definitely no room for any draws. You have to be absolutely perfect and hope South Africa gets a draw, and then in one of the games, and then you can qualify for the World Cup. Other than that, team has to be super perfect. The first thing that has to happen, to change Nigeria's fortune, to create that team I'm talking about, that is a scary team that everyone will be terrified, about. So including African teams, South American teams, European teams, is the culture. The culture has to change. The culture has to leave short-term success and focus on long-term success and focus on the collective success of Nigeria as a footballing nation. Now, having said that, there are certain areas in the team that needs changing. Now, all the players in Nigeria Super Eagles are not bad players. They're very, very good players. Certain positions. Now, let's go to the midfield. That central midfield role that Eric Chill wants to play, because for me, I like going by what a manager has said, this is how I want to play. Eric Chill, the head coach of Nigerian Super Eagles, from the last two games we've seen against Rwanda and Zimbabwe, he's shown us that he wants to play with three attacking players four attacking players behind the lone striker, and then you have a lone six sitting in front of the back four, hopefully to control the game. So if you want to do that, then I don't think at this stage in his career, Wilfred Ndidi is the man. For me, I think Ebenezer Akinsimiro is that player that fits that role. Now, if you've been watching this channel, if you've been watching this stream, if you're watching other videos, you know I talk about him a lot. Because for me, he is a special player. Because when you come to that lone six that can control the game, that can control the pace of play, Nigeria doesn't really create those players, when you compare to wingers, strikers, fullbacks, central defenders. Those controlling midfielders rarely create them. There was Sunday Olise, and then after Sunday Olise, for a long while we didn't have that sort of play anymore till we got to John Mikel Obi, and that was a mixture of his personal ability and Jose Mourinho's decision to, switching from a 10 to a 6. Now we've not produced that sort of player again. Now we've got to Ebenezer Akintimiro. I'll share his picture in a minute, but that is the player we need in that midfield to help coordinate play, to help control the game. Why Nigeria lost that game against Zimbabwe wasn't because Zimbabwe were the better team. No, it was because after scoring that goal, Nigeria lost control of the game. Started playing long passes, trying all sorts of things that they shouldn't have been trying. What the team should have been looking at should have been, how do we control the game? And then when you look at the players on the pitch, you have players who are skillful, who are pacing, like Ademola Lookman. You have Victor Osimhen, who is Nigeria's best player. No one is going to argue that. His goal scoring, his aggression, his pressing, he's running off the ball. Beautiful. But you look at the team, when you ask yourself, who is that player? Who is that player that can control the game? Who is that player that you can say, right, we've got this player, he can actually control this game, control the pace of play? Who is that player? None. Definitely not Wilfred Ndidi. Definitely not Wilfred Ndidi. Definitely not. Who else was in that midfield? Definitely not Iwobi. Iwobi is a decent player, but he's not that kind of player. So for me, Ebenezer Akintimiro is a player that the Nigerian Super Eagles, the NFF, should look to get on board. I'll share his picture in a minute for those of us that may not be too familiar with him, but I'll just say his image in a minute. So he's the sort of player that the NFF should be looking to get in, because this qualifying round is done, it's gone, it's all but over. But now it then means the NFF should be able to look at their team to say, okay, what part, what role, what position on the pitch, is lacking. Where do we need to upgrade the team? What area do we need to upgrade? What area do we need to upgrade? So I'll just share this in a minute. So what area do we need to upgrade? Those are things that the NFF should begin to ask themselves. Should begin to ask themselves. So I know what I'll do. I'll share this video instead. Should begin to ask themselves. Should begin to, look at themselves to say, we need to change up things. We need to add something new into this team. And for me, I feel the first name you should think about is Ebenezer Akintimiro, not because you don't have other areas where you have that need, but he's just special in that regard. So I'll share my screen in a minute, and then we'll have a look. See, he is someone that can help control the play. Watch him. He's on the ball right now. See how he plays. Controls the play. Drop it back. Sometimes in football, that's all you need. That's all you need. Watch him again. Gets the ball. Give it to the right man. Makes the supporting runs. Watch again. He gets the ball. Holds off his man. He loses the ball there. But you see his style of play. Holds the ball. Gives it to a man in space. Makes supporting runs. Just control the game. That's what he wants to do. Holds the ball. Frees it up. Simple play. Sometimes that's all you need. So he's on the ball again. Simple pass. The attack goes. The team moves up the pitch. He holds the ball again. That's it. Beautiful beautifully spreading the play. That's it. Gets the team moving forward. Gets the game taken up. Gets the team taking over nicely. Doesn't lose the ball. No rush. Takes the shot wide. Granted, ball shot wide. Should have done better with the shot. But you see what we're talking about. Controlling the pace of play. That is one area on the pitch where the Nigerian Super Eagles are lacking. And I think that's the first place, that's the first position that should be looked at in terms of, getting reinforcement into the game, in the Nigerian Super Eagles team. And then as well, Alhassan Yusuf should be dropped, in my opinion, and Christos Uche should be added to that team. So when you do this now, you've now watched Ebenezer Kinsimiri again. That's it. Watch the pass. Ever since Olise, ever since Mikel Obi, we've not had this sort of player. And right now you have him. He's an Inter Milan player on loan to Sampdoria in the Serie B. You see, just keep making the right play. Keep making the right play. Skill drops it. Beautiful. It may not be flashy. It may not be 20,000 step overs, but right play, beautiful, beautiful play. Keeps it moving on. Back, center back. Rob, nice. Oh, beautiful play. These are the things that you see Rodri do. These are the things we used to see Busquets do. These are the things we used to see Mikel Obi do. Easy play. It may not be flashy, but that's it. He wins the ball in the air. Easy play. When Pele was the coach, watch again, pass. The game moves forward. If you want to play that lone six, for me, I keep saying this, if you want to play with that lone six, then you need to get someone like Ebenezer Kinsimiri. For me, I always say there are different ways to play football. There are different tactics to play the game. Coaches have their different style of play. And if Eric Chill has said, now I want to play with a flat back four, I want to play with a lone six, I'll play with 3 10s or 3 8.5s behind a supporting striker, then the main striker, then there's no way you don't go for Ebenezer Kinsimiri. And like I said in previous videos, he just has Nigerian nationality. I wouldn't say just, but I know why I'm saying just. He has only Nigerian nationality. So there's no excuse of, oh, we're trying to invite him. He's thinking of playing for Belgium. He's thinking of playing for Italy. No, he just has Nigerian nationality. It should be easy peasy. Invite him to the team. He's 20 years old. He's old enough. For me, he is old enough in that regard. Now, the next part of the pitch that needs tending to, that needs changing, in my opinion, is that left back position. Olaina is not a left back. He's not a left back at all. Olaina is not a left back. He is a right back, the best right back in the world right now on form. So there's no need to play him out of position. So for me, Felix Agu is a name that comes to mind. Felix Agu is a name that comes to mind when you're talking about that left back position. Felix Agu and Bruno Yemachi should be the two left backs right now for the Nigerian Super Eagles. Should be the two left backs that Eric Chill opts for right now. Now, the good thing with Felix Agu is that he has the pace, he's versatile, and he said it on the video here where I was reacting to his interview. He said it, that he is open to playing for the Nigerian Super Eagles, that he doesn't know how fast it will take to switch allegiance, but the moment he's invited, he'll be ready to go, because in his words, that would make his father proud, and he's looking forward to making his father proud by playing for the Nigerian Super Eagles. So easy peasy, he's already made it clear, I want to play for Nigeria. And not to digress too much, I have to highlight this because each time you speak of any dual national, people come up and they say things like, oh, he's arrogant. Most of these boys that are born overseas, they don't want to play for Nigeria. They look down on Nigeria. They look down on the national team. But this one, he said it clear as day. He wants to play for Nigeria. He said it a lot. He said that he and another Nigerian in that Werder Bremen team, and that is Justin Jima, they discussed about playing for Nigeria. They want to play for Nigeria. So that's that. And then going into that centre back position. You need to get Igor who was invited. I don't know why he didn't play. Probably can't say Calvin Bassey played very well. But Troost Ekong, I'm not saying he should be benched. He's still the captain of Nigeria, in my opinion. He's still a very, 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 very good defense centre back, in my opinion. But you should begin to plan. When I say a scary team, it's not just for this World Cup qualifier. It's not just for the AFCON. It's not even if Nigeria is able to qualify for the World Cup. It's not even just for that World Cup, but beyond that. Now, there are several centre backs that I think Nigeria should look at. One is Nnamdi Collins. Nnamdi Collins is a special centre back. Why I say this? He's super pacey. That means you can play whatever highline you want to play, and for sure you know he'll be able to track his man back. So Nnamdi Collins, that's a player that I think the Super Eagles should have a look at as well. Should have a look at. He played for Frankfurt at the minute. He played for Frankfurt at the minute. So he's a player that I think the NFF should have a look at. So I'll just share my screen in a minute so we can have a look see at the player I'm talking about. So this is Nnamdi Collins. He's a centre back. He used to play for Borussia Dortmund. He was primarily on the book of Borussia Dortmund, and then he's joined Frankfurt, still in the Bundesliga. He's eligible to play for Nigeria. He's only played under 21 for for Germany. He's only played in the under 21 team. He hasn't played for their first team. So he's still free. He's still eligible to switch to the national team of Nigeria, to the Super Eagles. He's there. He's someone that can make a difference in that defense, as well as there's David Odogu. There's David Odogu. That's another player, a centre back that plays for Wolfsburg that can be looked at as well, because I think he's about 6'2" tall, so he's imposing. He can come in right now and understudy Troost Ekong and learn how to play in the national team setup. And then when Troost Ekong quits, because I know he's already said this AFCON is his last AFCON. And if Nigeria goes to the World Cup, that I'm sure would be his last ever competition for the Nigerian Super Eagles. So he'll be going. So you need to start thinking about people to take up that position after he's gone. So Nnamdi Collins, David Odogu, these are people that should be looked at. Those two centre backs should be looked at, in addition to Igor Ogbu. Igor Ogbu should be given opportunity to play. I've heard news he's been invited. Brilliant. That was brilliant. And now, going back to that midfield role, you cannot invite Al Hassan Yusuf and leave Chris Santos Uche. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way, in my humble opinion. Then, going further up the field, what players should come in? For me, Nathan Tella, the discussion needs to be had with Nathan Tella, because he was invited once and he came and played only a few minutes. And then he was invited by Guavon. They said he had some family issues and he couldn't sort of make it. And then this Bayer Leverkusen game, for this World Cup qualifying cycle, Nathan Tella was invited, and moments to camp opening, he pulled out, citing an injury, and Xabi Alonso confirmed that he was indeed injured. Fair play, no issues about that. But the discussion needs to be had. Do you really want to play for Nigeria? Are you still open to playing for Nigeria? He should be in this team. And one thing we want to avoid is you get him. If any attacking player needs to leave the team, needs to pull out on the team, you don't go and bring a defender. You don't go and bring a goalkeeper just to make up the numbers. So for me, that 3 attacking players role behind the 2 forwards, for me, we need to get Ethan Waneri in there. You need to get him in there to be in that central position. In fact, you need to get Ethan Waneri to play the role currently being given to Ademola Lookman. I think he's better suited for that role than Ademola Lookman. While Ademola Lookman goes out to play where Simon Moses was asked to play in these past 2 games. Because in the 2 games, Simon Moses struggled. He struggled. It was clear. It was clear that he struggled. And then you play Ethan Waneri there. Or better still, you could move Ethan Waneri to be at the center, in the 10 between those 2 other midfielders. And then you have either your Victor Boniface or your Tolu Arokodare paired up with Victor Osimhen. Then for fullbacks, please play them in their rightful position. Play them in their rightful position. Nigeria is blessed with tall, powerful, center forwards that definitely thrive on balls being crossed into the box, balls being played quick so they can run in behind. So you need to play with your fullbacks. Let them put the crosses into the box. It might seem like a simple thing, cross the ball. But I know Tolu Arokodare did not score in either of the games, Zimbabwe and Rwanda. And some people are criticizing him. Fair play. A striker is meant to score goals. But there's something I saw in that game versus Rwanda. And I just got the understanding that if he's paired with Victor Osimhen from the start, you have Ademola Lookman playing out wide, playing as that left 10 or left winger, and therefore putting crosses into the box. You have a fullback like Bruno Yemachi overlapping down the left, putting crosses into the box. You have a fullback like Olaino overlapping down that right wing, putting balls into the box steadily. Victor Osimhen and Tolu Arokodare can be absolute handfuls for opposition teams, not just African teams, any team that Nigeria comes up against. Anything that Nigeria comes up against. Now, I think we have to go back to the goalkeeper. Now, I'll say it, Stanley Nwabali has been very good for Nigeria, was very good for Nigeria in the World Cup, plays in South Africa, but he's been very good for Nigeria in the World Cup. He's been very good. He's been very good for the Nigerian Super Eagles. But you need someone that will make him look over his shoulder. You need someone that will make him look over his shoulder. That will make him think, my position can be under threat. I can be substituted. If I don't play well, I can be dropped. If I don't play well, I can be benched. You need to have that. Everybody on the pitch needs to have that sort of fear, or at least have that at the back of their mind. Healthy competition is always good. If I play very well, I maintain my position in the team. If I don't play very well, if I'm not consistent, someone else can come in and take my spot. So for me, Nuwa Tubulu has been on fine form for his club, Frankfurt. And I think he's someone that the Nigerian Super Eagles, the NFF, Eric Chill, Gusau, the chairman of the National Sports Commission, Nigeria, should be looking at in terms of goalkeepers that can actually challenge. Is one thing having number twos and number threes that the number one goalkeeper knows, well, they can't take my place. It's good to have them that are taking up spots on the bench, they're flying with the team, they're eating the food we eat, but I know they're not going to take my spot. So when a player has that kind of mindset, then certain things can make mistakes. But get the point I'm making. I'm not saying throw him away. I'm not saying he's not good enough to be Nigeria's number one. What I'm saying is he, just like every other player on the team, needs healthy competition. That will make him play better. That will make him defend better. Be a better goalkeeper. When he sees another goalkeeper coming in, he knows the team is serious. He knows the team is serious. And then going back to the coach, going back to Eric Chill. Eric Chill If this team has to be a scary team, if this team has to be a team that everyone fears, if this team has to be a team that can absolutely play to its potential, you must be flexible. You must have very in-game management. You don't need to be stubborn. Because we've seen in the Rwanda game, we've seen in the Zimbabwe game, a level of stubbornness that cost Nigeria the game to some extent. You need to be flexible. You need to be flexible. You need to be adaptable. Have your primary system going into a game. Have your primary system going into a game with that primary system. Okay, this is how I want to play. But if the opposition comes up with different tactics, challenges how you want to play, you should be able then to adapt and come up with a new style, come up with something different to at least put some doubt and question mark in the minds of the opposition. That's true. Now, also sticking with the forward line, let's go to the forward line. George Lenikena, I think Cyril Dessers as well should be considered. I know I've said before that his physical ability, or inability rather, is a challenge for me. That's one reason I've not said he should just come in and play. To me, players like George Lenikena should be looked at. For one, he should be looked at. Victor Latunji should be looked at. And back again, if you're going to get these physically imposing strikers, George Lenikena, Victor Latunji, to join up with your Victor Moses and your Tula Rokodare and your Victor Boniface, Victor Osimhen as well. If you're going to do that, then you have to supply them with passes and crosses into the box. That's for sure, 100%. You need to do that. You need to do that. Now the midfield, I've talked about Ebenezer Kinsimiro, I've talked about Uche Crisantos, and then certain players should be dropped. No more, we've seen the best of them. We've seen the likes of Alassane Yusuf. There's no point seeing him again because there's nothing he can actually do to help this team. He can only come in there and be an extra body. But right now, going into the remaining World Cup qualifying fixtures, going into the AFCON, what you need, you don't need someone who's just going to be an extra body in the midfield. You don't need that. You need someone that people that can actually, participate and affect the game. Affect the game. So that's my thoughts and opinion on that team. And then another thing is integrating players into the national team setup. That's how you build a team. So for me, this would be going with Eric Chill's style, how he wants to play. And what he's shown us in the Rwandan game, what he's shown us in the Zimbabwean game. This for me should be the starting 11 for this team. Wabali will start. No worries. Just Ekong and Igogbu should start. And then you've got at left back Bruno Yemachi. That's it. No argument about that. Right back Olaina. In that midfield role, that lone six, Ebenezer Kinsimiro. I believe in that boy so much. His ability to control games. He should be there. If you want to play that lone six, then you want to play with the three sort of 10s or 8.5s behind the striker. For me, one on the other, on one side you should have Nathan Teller. In the middle you should have Ethan Waneri. On the left side you should have Ademola Lookman. And in the attacking role, for me, I would tweak it a bit, and it would be for me either Victor Boniface and Victor Osimhen, or Victor Osimhen and Tula Rokodare from the start of the game. From the start of the game, so you pin the opposition back in their own half. That is how I see it. I wonder how you see it. That's how I see it going into that game. Now, there's one thing I want to talk about as well, because I think it presents an opportunity for Nigeria, and that is there's this invitational game to be played in England in June. That's the news that's making the rounds. Not yet absolutely 100% sure, but I've seen it on different platforms, on different sort of news outlets. But I'm waiting for the big outlets, big England outlets to talk about it. But there's this 4-game invitational that would have Ghana, England, Jamaica, and Nigeria all participating in that tournament. Now, for me, that tournament that 4 game fourth nation international tournament invitational tournament presents an opportunity for Nigeria to blood and try new talent. So your George Lenny Kenners, your Victor Latunjis, it provides that unique opportunity for them to be tried, to be given their first caps, to play the likes of even Ari Parabo, that Onyobuchi Obasi. That presents a unique opportunity for them to be integrated into the national team, into the Nigerian Super Eagles. You know, in the bid to building that scary team. And also, I think that also presents a perfect opportunity, you know, for you to have a negotiation with Ethan Waneri's family and all that, and have him involved in that competition. What better way would be? What's better than giving Ethan Waneri his Nigerian debut against England in that tournament? It would be absolutely wonderful. I know for me, tournament is an intriguing one, and I've said before that that tournament for me, isn't as important as the World Cup. World Cup qualifiers, obviously, and it would have been a lot sweeter if Nigeria, had won against Zimbabwe, very close to South Africa, and then you're almost certain that Nigeria could actually go on to qualify for the World Cup. Then having that sort of invitational tournament in between, in between the games you have to play, or coming before the South African game, coming before the Lesotho game, or Rwandan game rather, you immediately feel it feels a lot better to play in those kind of games. But I still think that game presents an opportunity for the Nigerian Super Eagles, to integrate players, to bed players into, the national team setup. I wonder what your thoughts and opinions are on that one. And then I talked about 2 players that were invited to the under 20 side, and that is, Umar Abubakar, who scored 15 goals in 22 games, and then we've also got Umar Abubakar, who scored 15 goals in 22 games, and then we've also got Obi Anthony, another defensive midfielder, a defensive midfielder that plays for Granada. He was invited as well to play for the under 20 national team that will be playing in the under 20 AFCON. And this in addition to Abube. If you remember a video I did, Abube was also invited. Dubeim Eze, I'm suspecting Dubeim Eze should be Berry Eze's brother, but I'll try to confirm that. But Dubeim Eze as well was invited. So these two players now have been invited, and that's good for me. At least you integrated them into the ecosystem of Nigerian football. But as well, I think if Ari Porabo is not going to be part of the Super Eagles at this point, he should be in that under 20 squad. Same thing to Nyobuchi Obasi. He should be part of that, under 20 squad going forward. So, what are your thoughts and opinions on the under 20 AFCON? Your thoughts and opinions on these players that have been invited? What are your thoughts and opinions on these players that have been invited? So, Umar Abubakar plays for KRC Genk, the age grade side of so this is the player Umar Abubakar. Scored 15 goals in 17 games, and for me, 15 goals in 22 games. And in my opinion, in anyone's books, that's very, very good form. So this is the player right here. So this is the player right here, Umar Abubakar. He's been invited to the under 20 team, the Flying Eagles. So hopefully we'll see what he's able to do. Hopefully he gets game time in that AFCON tournament, and hopefully he comes good and lives up to his potential. And what I'm saying right now for like of Umar Abubakar, that's just for obviously the future. The future way past the World Cup and things like that. So you have to start prepping these guys. Same thing with Anthony. Obi Anthony. I'll share his picture in a minute. He plays for Granada. He's a defensive midfielder. He's a 6. as they like to call it nowadays. So these are one for the future that Nigeria should be excited about. I'd say, one for indeed the future. Okay, so I'll share the screen now so we can see the player. So Omar Obi Anthony is a defensive midfielder, plays for the under 20 side of Granada in the Spanish league. Hopefully, he gets to play in this AFCON. So the thing with Nigeria is never been a question of talent. You always have talented players coming through the ranks, whether at grassroots level or in other countries. But it's a question of integrating these players, to the national team as a whole. So for me, in terms of building a scary squad, that's how you go about it. Look at the parts where players are missing. Look at the positions where you need to replace the players. Especially, you have to look at the way the coach plays. How do you want to play? He's shown us in the past two games. You need people with energy. You need people with legs. And Wilfred Ndidi in that game, unfortunately, he showed he didn't have the legs to play the full 90 minutes. But the sad part was Eric Chin would look at his bench and he would see no one else that would be able, or at least that was able, to come off the bench and replace Wilfred Ndidi. But we have someone in Chrysanthus Uche that was sort of denied of that position, of that spot on in the team. So for me, I say the first thing that has to change, it's the culture. It's the culture of the NFF in terms of building the squad. So for me, Noah Tobolu has to be in this team for sure. 100%, he has to be in this team. Olaino has to play right back, no questions. Bruno Yemachi has to play left back. Felix Agu has to be in the squad, the next World Cup qualifying squad, this fourth nation tournament that we're anticipating will be in June. He should be in the squad. That should be where you give him his first cap for the Nigerian Super Eagles. And then when you go up front as well, you begin to look for people that can fit into how you want to play. So if you're getting Nathan Taylor, you get him. If you're getting Shola Ogundona, you get him. If you're getting Ethan Waneri, which I think is a must. He is a must. And people should stop all this talk of, he has not played first team football for England. Of course, you don't want him to play first team football for England. You don't want him to play first team football for England. You want him to be in a position where you can get to easily convince him to play for the Nigerian Super Eagles, and the switch doesn't become way too difficult, doesn't become way too complicated. Just like we have Karim Adeyemi. I think Karim Adeyemi now, for me, I think he's off the table. So that's bye-bye for me. So it's off the table. So building a scary team, Jolly Lenny should be in this team, should be in this squad. The next World Cup qualifying, he should be there. He should be there. You want to see players who are in poor form and then you bring them in. No. And then for me, Eric Chale, I'll keep saying this, play these players in the rightful position. Play them in the position they want to play. I would like to know what you think about what we're discussing today in the chat. I want to know what you think about, first of all, the players I've mentioned that can be in this sort of team that can, be scary to other teams. This team that can be potent, this team that can possibly help Nigeria qualify for the World Cup, that can possibly, help Nigeria win the AFCON. I want to know your thoughts and opinion on that. And then as well, I want to know your thoughts and opinions on this possible or likely invitational tournament that 4 teams will be playing in. That you are likely to have England in it. Likely to have, of course, Nigeria in it, Jamaica in it, and Ghana. What are your thoughts about the tournament as well? You think it's something Nigeria should even participate in, given the fact that we have the challenge of qualifying for the World Cup, have the challenge of the AFCON coming on? Is that a tournament you want Nigeria to take seriously at all, or even to participate in? And then, of course, the 2 players that have been invited to the under-20 side of Nigeria, like the Flying Eagles for the under-20 AFCON. What are your thoughts on these 3 topics? I would like to know in the chat so we can have a discussion about that. So I'll just go on and I'll see if I can bring up something about that tournament, and then we can all look at it and have a more, fun discussion about it. So So here it is, because it's been making the rounds, all over social media. So I've done a video about it already. So I'll share my screen and then we'll look at it and want to know what your thoughts are on that tournament. Is this something Nigeria should take seriously? Is this something you want to see Nigeria participate in, or Nigeria should just forget about it and focus more on, maybe qualifying for the World Cup and things like that? So this is it right here. So this is 49th. Say England will reportedly host a 4-nation tournament involving Ghana, Jamaica, and Nigeria in the summer. So that'll be possibly around June. Now, we haven't got concrete details about this. So is this for the Super Eagles of Nigeria, the senior team? Hopefully that's the case. So against Ghana, against Jamaica, against England, this could be interesting to watch. This could be intriguing to watch. For me, the only thing that makes me scratch my head a bit, is the fact that World Cup qualification is not sealed, and then you're going to play this sort of tournament. What benefit is it to you? Or maybe they can say this is a tournament you can use to sharpen your skills, get yourself prepared and ready for the upcoming World Cup qualifying games. So what are your thoughts and opinions on this tournament? You think it's important? You think it's one that Nigeria should be even considering to playing? And like I said, for me, it's intriguing. It's an intriguing tournament. At the very least, it is an intriguing tournament. It's an interesting one, and I would have been 100% for it if Nigeria had qualified for the World Cup already, or had already had a very positive result in this World Cup qualifying sort of round. So, what are your thoughts and opinions about these tournament, and as well about the AFCON coming on? What do you think about it? Let's see if we can find out Nigeria's group for that tournament, AFCON 2024. 2025, sorry, on the 20 AFCON. And we're hearing that Ivory Coast have pulled out. The Ivory Coast have pulled out from hosting the tournament. Ivory Coast have pulled out from hosting the tournament. For me, that is a worry. That is a worry. So I wonder who would be thinking of hosting that tournament. And they have pulled out from hosting it. So let's look at the group. So is this April? I'll share my screen so we can see the teams in the same group with Nigeria. Let's see who are the teams in the same group. I'll share my screen and then would have a talk about it as well. So share. And this is it. So we've got in that group, you've got Egypt on the 20 side, we've got Morocco, we've got South Africa as well in that group. And it starts this April. And Nigeria will be playing her first game on the 30th of April against Egypt. So this is how it's going to look. Hopefully, this is a group that Nigeria can qualify from. I think Nigeria can absolutely qualify from this group. I know it's Egypt, Morocco. Those are the real stumbling blocks in the group. Of course, I think everyone is going to beat South Africa in this, in this group. But taking nothing for granted. So, what are your thoughts and opinions on this under 20 AFCON coming up later on this year? Not just later on this year, next month, starting next month. And what do you think about the players that have been invited so far, to the team? What are your thoughts about it? Because I know Abube, a player for Ipswich Town, has been invited to the team. Dube Meze had also been invited to the team. So, what are your thoughts and opinions on the game? It's on the tournament itself. I know everyone's attention right now is about the World Cup, playing in the World, Nigeria qualifying for the World Cup. But this is another tournament I think Nigeria should take seriously, because you have to start planning for the future. You don't want that gap in development where if they don't perform well, that means, or if they lose out and drop out of the group stage, you have that space where you have that gap in players' development. So, what are your thoughts and opinions on that one? What are your thoughts and opinions on that AFCON, on the 20 AFCON? And also, thoughts and opinions on what I've said earlier on with respect to building a scary team for the Nigerian Super Eagles. I've said Felix Agu should play at left back. What do you think? He should be that second left back option. Because building a scary team, you should even be building a scary squad. It's not about your first 11. It's not only about your first 11. Because right now, if Bruno Yimachi is not playing, from what we can see right now, there's no left back in the team, in the squad, that Eric Chill is confident in. Olaina is forced to play left back. And you have Brighton Said Samuel. And then you don't have a right back that can come in as a replacement for Olaina. So those are the questions. And then the goalkeeping area outside of Stanley Wabale. In this present squad, in this present team as it is, who is that person providing healthy competition for Stanley Wabale? So I've talked about Nuwa Tobolu. So what are your thoughts and opinions on Nuwa Tobolu? Is it someone you'd like to see come and play for Nigeria? I know he has one nationality, but I think he's someone that the NFF should be looking at seeing how you can get him to be part of the team. Because we are lacking in that goalkeeping area. The Nigerian Super Eagles are lacking in that goalkeeping area. So, what are opinions on that one? And then this 4-game invitational tournament, 4-nation invitational tournament. What do you think about it as well? For me, I've said it is an intriguing tournament. It presents a very good opportunity for the NFF, for the Nigerian Sports Commission, to come to England and scout some players as well, and use that opportunity to give them game time, like your Tyreek George, your Ethan Waneri. These are opportunities that are there. You come in, you speak to them, start having the discussions right now, start having the negotiations right now, and then you get them to have their nationality switch. Then you can have them be part of the team as well. You must celebrate because we're losing 3 points this week. Or next week, Lesotho guy explained how they spoke Viva, but we will fight for our position. Celebrate. What am I celebrating? You did something wrong. Why? So for me, while I feel like Nigeria has a better team than South Africa, I've always thought that when it comes to having that organizational ability, administrative excellence. I used to think South Africa were on top of their game in that regard. I used to think they were on top of their game in that regard. But how come no one knew that Mokoena was on 2 yellow cards already? How come no one knew that he was already on 2 yellow cards and he should not even play? So you've shot yourself in the foot on that one. If you lose the 3 points, then we're not celebrating. You have put yourself in that position. So it's fine. For me, like I said, going into the Zimbabwe game, when this whole talk about the 3 point deduction, possible 3 point deduction from South Africa, I said the only time that makes sense is if Nigeria goes on, imposes herself on Zimbabwe, and defeats Zimbabwe, gets all 3 points, you're on 9 points. When you take away those 3 points from South Africa, so instead of being 13, they are 10, you're a point behind them. You know, all you have to do, rather, you know, you have your destiny in your own hands. You win all your games, you get to game against South Africa, then you show yourself, and then you go into that game knowing if you win that game, qualification is all but certain. But Nigerian Super Eagles didn't do what I was expecting them to do. They went on and dropped points against Zimbabwe. But that being said, if South Africa indeed loses those 3 points, then it makes the situation a lot better for Nigeria. So it's not if we are losing 3 points. So for me, it's an error. And that's why I said this. Those who watch this video, coming into this qualifying rounds, I said Maduka Okoye should not be invited, should not be part of the squad. I said that for 2 reasons. The first reason is I know he plays for Udinese, but he's never taken the opportunity he's got with the Nigerian Super Eagles. The opportunity he's got to be, stake a claim for that number 1 spot. He's never embraced it. He's never embraced it. And then he had this issue with, gambling and all that kind of stuff. I said, make sure he's cleared everything he needs to clear. His suspension has truly been cleared up. Because one thing you don't want a game to be 64th minute, Taliwa Bali has an injury, knock on wood, hopefully it doesn't happen, has an injury, he comes off, Maduka Okoye comes onto the pitch, and then you end up winning that game or getting the point from the game. And then FIFA says, he was not meant to play that game, he's ineligible. And then you get fined, and then you get points deducted. So, and it's happened to Nigeria before. In 2018, Nigeria got their points deducted. So, yeah, CAF already said it's not their competition. We can't complain to them about getting a notification. Well, yeah, it's not their competition. Fair enough. It's for FIFA to decide. But for me, while as a Nigerian, sort of, I would say, it makes me happy a bit that they lose points, so that I would have wanted to win, win properly, man to man, team to team, win and get those points. But I just feel a bit slightly sad for South Africa because the players have come on the pitch, they've done the business on the pitch, they've scored the goals on the pitch that they're meant to score, and then because an administrator got things wrong and couldn't just say, come on, this guy, he has 2 yellow cards. No, he shouldn't play. And I think against Lesotho, you should be able to beat Lesotho from a South African perspective, beat Lesotho without Mokoena. So, but there it is. Sometimes those things happen. And the question from a Nigerian perspective is, can the Nigerian Super Eagles take advantage of those of the 3 points being deducted? And one thing we need to get clarification of is, if those 3 points are taken from South Africa, who would they go to? Anyone? Would they go to Lesotho, the team they played against? So that's something we have to think about, because if that happens, that then takes Lesotho above Nigeria. Right now they are 5th, I think, with 6 points. If they now get 3 points and 3 goals, they now have 9 points and be ahead of Nigeria. So nothing to look at. But I'm guessing even if that happens, you'd rather have Lesotho ahead of you. You can speed past them, and then you have to challenge South Africa. But nothing has changed with respect to the fact that Nigeria still has to win every game. Unfortunately, that's the situation that Nigeria has kept herself. Unfortunately, the first 3 games you should have won. Or rather, the first 4 games you should have won, you lost 1 and drew 3. So you've put yourself in this position, and then you've come on this qualification cycle. You've won 1 and you've drawn 1 at home, a game you should have won. Now going into the last legs of the qualifying round, you have Nigerian Super Eagles, Eric Chil, Victor Osimhen, Victor Osimhen, Victor Boniface, Ademola Lookman. You have to go into this game with the idea of winning every game. That's just it. There's no room for slip-ups. No room for slip-ups at all. And therefore, Eric Chil, Nigerian Football Federation, National Sports Commission, you cannot afford to invite players you want to make happy. You cannot afford to invite your brother's cousins. No, you cannot afford to do that. You must invite players that have the ability to help this team qualify. That's just the truth about it right now. There's no time for friendship. There's no time. I don't want to see Ahmed Musa invited there as a senior player. No. If you want him to motivate the team, it's simple. Make him a player liaison officer and he's with the squad. Make him an assistant to Eric Chil and he'll be moving around with the squad. He can train with the squad, but that would mean he would not take up the spot of a player. That would mean he's not going to take up the spot of a player. Then that works out fine for me. But right now, going into the coming games, you just have to win. Nigerian Super Eagles, you just have to win every game. I've seen what it will be said. Oh, the vibe cannot end. We will win. It will qualify. Just Ekong say we win together. We will achieve it together. Something to that effect. Aroko Dare saying the same thing. Fair play. Fair play. It's good to say all that. It's good to post all that on social media. Fair play. But come game day, you have to bring that energy. You have to bring that energy. You have to bring that energy to the game. You have to play with that mindset that you want to go to the World Cup, that you want to qualify. And right now, there's no room for any mistake, no room for any slip-off, no, for any draws. You have to win every remaining game. That's how it is. Right now, you have to win every game. So, also, I'd like to know your thought on this four nation tournament. Is it something that you'd be excited to watch? Given the position Nigeria is in at the minute, and then what do you think about these 2 players that have been invited to, the Flying Eagles, the under 20 side that will be participating in the under 20 AFCON? What do you think about them? Umar Abubakar has scored 15 goals in 22 games, so he's a brilliant player coming up. And then as well, you also have Obi Anthony, plays for Granada. He's also been invited to that team, in addition to Abube. This is Abube Onuchuku that has also been invited to the under 20 side. Dube Meze also has been invited to that under 20 side. What are your thoughts on that tournament? It will be coming up, coming up in April. And when I figure out a way to watch the game, I'll let you know how you can watch it. And then as well, I'll be doing watch-alongs for those games as well. And also saying, if you want to be part of the panel on this channel, you can follow me on X, Ugomani Football Channel with 1L, and send me a DM and we can have a discussion on that as well. Or you can even drop a comment in the chat and we can have that discussion. We can have that discussion, as well on there. So I'd like to know your thoughts and opinions on these various topics we've talked about. And even if you have different names for the positions I've talked about, let's know. I've said for the goalkeeping position, we need to have Nua Atubulu as the second choice to Stanley Wabali. Have them competing. Whoever is the best, may the best goalkeeper win. That's the mindset going into it. I've talked about Ebenezer Akinsimiro coming into that team, playing in that Wilfred Ndidi role, because right now, if we want to play that lone 6, like the Rodriguez of this world, Busquets of this world, Mikel Obi's of this world, you want to play that lone 6, then you need someone that can help you control the pace of play. That can help you control, and that's what was lacking in that game. There was nobody that could help control the game, hold it, pass, take it, pass, take it, give him the pass. the person gives to you, make supporting runs, get the ball, hold it, give it again. You go, you control the pace for the game. That was lacking. So that's why I said the Benitez Casemiro should be in that team. Chris Santos Uche, because of his stamina, his energy, and his technique on the ball as well, he should be in that team by the next cycle. And then going up front, I've said it that Ethan Nwaneri, Nigeria cannot afford to let that guy sleep. You get him in. Simon Moses should now be at the bench. Ademola Lookman should play in that left on that left side, because for the 2 games he played, Simon Moses, he struggled. He struggled badly in that position. And I don't know for whatever reason, Eric Chell refused to change him. He struggled badly in that position. Struggled badly. Back to Ethan Nwaneri. Why I talk about him is, if you look at the way he plays, he can play that role where he has the free role to roam and be close to the striker. We've seen him do it. We've seen him do it. So, Ethan Nwaneri, for sure, you should look at him. And then the likes of Justin Jima, that's another option you look at. You look at to be an extra body on the pitch. There's a name I'll call now, and people will say, "Oh, what are you talking about?" Jude Sunday is another person that should be looked at. And I think if this 4-nation invitational tournament would hold, then I think he is a player that tournament can be, the Nigerian FA can use to, blood him into the national team setup, because he's special, because he's ambipedal. He can cross with left foot, cross with right foot, shoot with right foot, shoot with left foot in equal measure, and that kind of versatility is good. And I said Felix Agu should be that left back. And for me, Bruno Yemachi must be the starting left back. And then again, when you play to the strengths of your attackers, Victor Osimhen will always make the runs in behind. Always, anytime, any day, he will make those runs in behind the striker. So those passes should be coming naturally. And then if you play Aroko Dare, pairing up with Victor Osimhen, or Victor Boniface pairing up with Victor Osimhen, you know they're going to outmuscle the defenders. You know they're good in the air. So you have to be putting those crosses in the box. And like I said earlier in the video, if you have those 3 sort of tens behind the striker, then your fullbacks must be willing to, you must have fullbacks that can overlap. Because moments in that game versus Zimbabwe, even against Rwanda, Brighton Said Samuel, sometimes he will be miles behind. While Chukwueze will be up front looking for who to give the pass to, because he was not allowed to give width. So if you have other names that you want to mention as well, that you think can come in and contribute to this team, in this invitational tournament, in the World Cup qualifier, in the AFCON itself, let's know. Let's not forget the AFCON is by the side as well. AFCON is also there. Later on in the year, we'll play in the AFCON. So that's another one that you have to keep your eyes out for. Planning should begin now. Planning should begin now. And look at Sierra Leone. Look at what Sierra Leone are doing. They're stacking up their team. With all the dual nationals they have, they're stacking up their team. So Africa gradually is becoming a scene that is no longer easy. Every team right now, has 1 or 2 players that maybe may not be world class, but can, worry you, but can be a problem for you. So that means you have to stack up your own team. So for me, Ethan Nwaneri, you should be looked at. And then, yes, this player, this is the final one I want to mention. Noah Adedeji Steinberg is a player that the NFF should do all they can to get. He is a special player. He's shown it. He is a special player. Because people might say, you see these boys, they play for this team, but they come and they've not performed, like you talk about Tolu Arokodare. But how many minutes did he get to play? That's another thing. So for me, this is where I'll end the video now. To build a team that everyone will be afraid of, you have to change the culture in terms of how you build the team together. Forget about who is your friend. Forget about who you like. Forget about who has played for the team for 15 years, but is not doing anything now. Get the right people in place. then you need to look at how the coach wants to play. He wants to play with a lone six that can help control the game. Ebenezer Kinsemiro should be in. Uche Crisantos should be in. Alhassan Yusuf should be out. Stanley Wabali, he made an error. In fact, the whole team made an error leading up to that goal. But I'm not saying he should be benched. What I'm saying is you should have a goalkeeper that can compete with him for the starting spot. And that is for me, from what I've seen so far, both home-based play goalkeepers and foreign-based goalkeepers, both players with singular nationality, both players and goalkeepers with dual nationality. Lua Tobolu is the one that the Nigerian Football Federation, the Super Eagles selectors should be looking to get on board this goalkeeper, get him in. And then finally, you go when you're talking about those three attackers behind the nine. For me, you get Ethan Wannery in the building, you get Justin Jima in the building, and maybe you get Ishola or Jutsone in the building. But for me, Ethan Wannery is the one that is a must. You must get, and you keep balance. Olaina one side, Bruno Yimachi one side. So those are my thoughts and opinions on how the Nigerian Super Eagles can build a scary team that everyone will be afraid of. And now there's something I'll be doing. I'll be looking at players for different positions, starting from the goalkeeping position to the strikers. So that will be an ongoing series that we should all keep an eye out for. And then there'll be a reaction to one of the most impressive tournaments that Nigeria has ever been part of. A year when Nigeria shocked the world. That's something that you want to keep your eyes peeled on this channel for. So if you haven't subscribed already to the channel, please do. And click the notification bell as well so you're notified when I go on live or when I post that video on here. Because that's one of the greatest moments in Nigeria's footballing history. It will be on this channel. I'll talk you through it. I remember watching that game, that tournament growing up. And it was something that still gives me goosebumps to today, something that still makes me smile, till this very moment. So thank you all for being on here and watching and supporting and subscribing to the channel. And hopefully there'll be another video that will drop today as well. So keep your eyes peeled on that one. So at this moment, I want to say thank you for all those who watch this channel, who support this channel, who indeed been with me from the beginning of this stream till the end. And like I said, do have a splendid rest of your day. Stay well and stay blessed.